I don't think I've ever been more content in my life. I don't think I've been happier ever. And there's a simple reason for that. I used to be afraid. I used to be crippled with fear. Crippled to speak up. Crippled to speak my truth. I was afraid to let myself know and let others know what I truly believed, what I truly thought, what I truly valued. I couldn't speak up. It seems like a problem today. We walk on glass. Should I say this? Should I say that? Will that offend her? Will that offend him? I've decided to speak my truth. And there's great freedom in that. To know what you believe in, to know what you value, and to live by that every single day. That's why I'm content. I'm fine being the minority in some of my ideas. I don't need to follow. I don't need anyone to follow me. If I know what I believe in and I live that through, then that is enough. And then I am enough. What good is it to follow other people? What good is it to follow simply just to be part of the majority? To follow just so you're not an outcast? To follow just because you fear loneliness? What do you believe in? What truth do you want to speak? What do you really want to tell people? What do you really want to tell people? Have you admitted it to yourself? Do you want to tell people that you have an anxiety disorder? Do you want to tell people and be completely honest and tell them that you have an eating disorder? Do you want to tell people that you suffer from depression? What do you want to tell people? But that's step 2. There's fear in that. There's fear of judgment. There's too much respect for other people that maybe you shouldn't respect. You maybe respect people more than you respect yourself. There needs to be self-love. There needs to be self-respect. There needs to be confidence that comes out of sharing. There needs to be that self-love. There needs to be that will, that reason to share. And the reasoning comes from your values. The reasoning comes from your belief system. If you truly believe in honesty and you like people being honest with you, then you value being honest with other people. Then sharing your illness, sharing your struggles with others will come easily. And you develop self-respect that way. Set your values in place. Know what you stand for. Don't stand just to stand with everybody else. If you really speak your truth, if you really tell people what you think of the world, what you think of others, what you think of yourself, if you are expressive in your thinking, if you are expressive in your emotion, if you are expressive in how you live your life, then you are enough. Wake up every day, follow what you believe in, follow what you value. Then there's no such thing as loneliness. Then you're always enough. then you are always doing the right thing. The majority doesn't matter. Speak your truth. Live your truth. Express yourself. Depression to expression. Depression isn't the illness only. That's not what the name is for. Depression meaning closed off from the world, apathetic, compressed. We live in the to part, depression to expression. We live in the journey. That's where we are. How can we find ways to express our truth? How can we find ways to open up from the depression? How can we find ways to speak up? And how do we have the confidence in that? Depression to expression, we believe that we need to create an honest dialogue about mental health by educating and inspiring people to express themselves freely with confidence. You have to start at the individual level. You start with you. It takes practice. It takes hard work. For me, it took suffering. For me, it took depression. It took an anxiety disorder for me to realize that I wasn't being true to myself. Shakespeare, to thine own self be true. I wasn't being fair to who I was. I didn't love myself. I looked for validation. Day in and day out, where can I find reassurance? Where can I find validation? Who agrees with me? Who's going to pat me on the back for my beliefs? How can I fit in? If only I knew that fitting in would be the least of my worries as I got older. That fitting in doesn't matter. You create your own identity. You create who you want to be. And then you try to fit into that. Figure out what you could be. Think about what you could be. And create that mold. And that's what you fit into. I'm happier and more content than I've ever been. I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, my sister, Catherine, my brothers Craig, Mark, Paul, my dog Russ, I'd like to thank every single human being that has supported me since day one. Everyone on the channel that watches. Every single investor on this channel on Patreon, you know who you are. I'd like to thank you all for believing in me, for picking up your own torch and running with it, for doing your best to find the right path. To know that the journey counts, not the destination. To keep moving no matter what, and to not feel guilty for what you believe in, and not feel guilty for being yourself, and not feel guilty for not fitting in. I thank God for my mental illness. That's an unpopular opinion. I wouldn't be where I am without it. That was the catalyst for where I am today. That was the spark where I really found myself. And I'm happier than I've ever been.